Welcome, everybody. We'll just give it another couple minutes for us to get started. Welcome to the College of Business Major Advising Session at Orientation for Spring 2022. My name is Brandon McLeod. I am one of the academic advisors in the College of Business here at Sac State. I'm joined by Sunita Coe. She is one of our another one of our staff members who's going to be helping out, kind of monitoring the chat and dropping some links in the chat as we go through the presentation. So before we get started, I just want to make sure everybody has access to these two documents. Since this is technically the last orientation session for us for the spring semester, so you may have gotten an email from us. Most likely, most of you got it yesterday. However, it could have come before, especially if you maybe switched your orientation date. If you initially were supposed to come maybe last week, but you ended up coming today, check your email from us. It would have either come from myself, Brandon, Maria, or Jamie. We sent you two documents. So you will have your new student guidebook and you'll have the business orientation review. Sunita will be putting a link in the chat for the guidebook in case you don't have that. But the orientation review form, it's an OR form, it's a PDF. It is personalized to you. So make sure and check your email. We sent it to your Sac State email. We also sent it to a personal email address if you had one on file with the university. Go ahead and check that. And we also want to make sure that you're in the correct session. We have two concurrent sessions running right now. This session is for students in the business major. The other session is for students who are expressed interest still. So the easiest way to tell if you're in the right session is to pull up your OR form that we had emailed to you earlier. And at the top on the screen, you can see I had circled where it says concentration. You would need to make sure that it says something in the concentration area, either marketing, accounting, finance. If it says expressed interest in that area where it should say concentration on your OR, you're actually in the wrong session, and we'll need to get you over to the expressed interest session. So if that's the case, let us know. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. If you have any questions to make sure that you're in the right session. But the easiest way is to check your OR and make sure that it says concentration at the top. Typically, we don't have any issues with this, but every once in a while, a student may be in the wrong session. All right, any questions about whether we're in the right session? Okay. All right, so keep the guidebook and the OR form handy. We'll be referencing kind of both of them as we go through the presentation. One other thing I wanted to mention is if you have any questions as we go through, feel free to use the raise hand feature and I'll just call on you as we go through. We'll also have an open Q&A at the end. So if you want to ask any questions at the end, or you just have a clarifying question after we're finished, we'll be here till 11:45. So we'll be available for any questions that you might have. And then the last thing is my colleague Sunita is monitoring the chat. However, she is not an academic advisor, so she may not be able to answer all of your questions. If you can try to ask your question verbally to me, I won't have the chat window up while doing the presentation because it's a little hard to manage both. But if you do have any questions, try not to put them in the chat unless you're not in an area where you can speak. If you are in an area where you can speak, just use the raise hand feature and I'll call on you as we go. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. What is the purpose of orientation? So why do we have you here today? These are the four things that we would like you to know by the time you end the session today. So what the OSE is and how it serves you, important policies for business majors, upper division course requirements. That's mainly what you're going to be focused on since you all are in the major or at least conditionally in the major. And then obviously what to enroll in for your first semester. So we have your registration will be taking place later today. You have a registration hold right now that will be lifted by the orientation office at some point this afternoon. And then it's our job to make sure that you have an idea at least in your major classes, of what to choose coming up this upcoming semester. So ideally, we want everybody to have their schedule kind of finalized by, I'd say, like 4 or 5 p.m. today. So that's what we'll make sure that you have leaving this session. All right, let's move on. So these first couple of slides are just general information about the college itself and some of our offices within the college and kind of what we do and what you can look forward to. One thing about this slide I just kind of want to make everybody aware of is our kind of operational structure. So we have an associate dean. You'll probably never really meet with the associate dean, but we do have 6 department chairs that work under our associate dean. Each department chair is in charge of 1 or more of the concentrations. So since you're all in the major, you all have a concentration right now. It's not easy to tell necessarily, and you can always ask one of the advisors, but each department chair has a specific concentration or concentrations that they're in charge of. So for example, Dr. Hao Lin is the finance, insurance, and real estate department chair. So he would be in charge of anyone who's in the finance concentration, regardless of track. Dr. Forsich is the accounting department chair. Obviously, he's in charge of anyone in the accounting concentration. And you can think of department chairs as kind of the heads of their department. They create the schedules. They work with assigning faculty to teach classes. They are mediators if you have a dispute with a faculty in that area. They're also kind of the go-to faculty for any questions you have about the field that you're in. So if your concentration is, for example, general management, that would be under Dr. Jay Lee, strategy and entrepreneurship. If you have just general questions about the field or really anything to do with the classes you're taking, the careers that you could go into, that kind of stuff, you can always go to the department chair. That's kind of their job. They're in charge of their own department. So we just kind of want to let you know that there's 6 department chairs out there, and you can kind of find the one that matches your concentration. You may never meet with them, but it's always a good idea to know who is in charge of, your specific department within the college. The other one, I had mentioned this earlier, the OSE, that's the Office of Student Engagement. That's the office that myself and Sunita work in. We kind of do things outside of the classroom. So we are not faculty. We don't teach classes. We don't have anything to do with that part of your education, but we do a lot of things outside of the classroom. So we run and manage all of our student clubs, all of our student organizations and honor societies. We manage our own internship and job board. We have lots of different internships posted for all of the different areas of business. We have part-time jobs, we have full-time jobs, we have on-campus jobs, lots of different things out there that you can peruse on our internship and job board. We give away a lot of scholarships and awards each year. We'll have a slide a little bit later with instructions on how to look and apply for our scholarships. We have free peer tutoring for lots of our business courses, not every single one, but we do have free peer tutoring for many of our lower division required courses and many of our upper division required courses. So if you feel that you are struggling in a class and it's a business class, check our tutoring schedule to see if we have a tutor for that class. Our tutoring generally doesn't begin until the 3rd week of each semester. And our tutoring hiring process has been a little difficult these past couple of years just due to the pandemic. So I can't promise that we'll have everything up and running by the 3rd week of school. We're going to try our best, but it may be the 4th or 5th week, kind of just depending on hiring. But we're shooting for having it open on the 3rd week of the semester. So you'd be looking at like mid-February. And once again, it's free. You can always use our tutoring resources if you feel like you would benefit from them in your classes. And then we do a lot of different events. We give out free food throughout the semester. We have events where you can meet our business student club leaders, events where you can meet employers, career fairs, all kinds of different stuff that we do throughout the semester and throughout the academic year. So just a little bit of kind of an overview of what we do in the OSE. Within the OSE, we also have the Undergraduate Business Advising Center. That's the direct office that I work in. Right now, we have 3 advisors, 3 full-time staff advisors. We basically try to take a one-stop approach to our advising services. So we are primarily mostly major advisors, but we try to do as much as possible without having to refer you out. But sometimes we do have to refer out because we may not be able to answer your questions. We don't know everything, but we try to help you out as much as possible. Is it Frau or Fro? Do you have a question?
Hi, it's Frau. So is the one-stop academic advising services the same like counseling?
What do you mean by counseling? Like class counseling?
Yeah, like
Yes.
counselor, will they help you out with maybe your educational plan or any other questions you might have about
Yes.
your courses?
Yes, correct. Yeah. So if most of you are obviously coming from a community college, it is a little different here. I'm not going to lie. You're in general at your community college, you kind of go to one person and they take care of everything for you. It's not quite like that here. So, for example, obviously we're major advisors. We can tell you absolutely what major classes you have left to take. We do some GE advising, but we're not technically GE advisors. So we may have to refer out if you have a specific question about your GE, especially if you're just starting at Sac State. The other thing is we're not financial aid advisors. So we really can't answer any questions about financial aid. We don't work in the bursar's office. So if you have random fees that pop up, we may not know where they came from and we can't help you out with that kind of stuff. So Sac State is a little bit more fragmented in that regard, to where you may have to go to different offices to get different things taken care of. But in terms of your major classes, we're going to be your major advisor from here until you graduate, if that makes sense.
Okay, and then the link that they provided on the chat is where we can make appointments to see or meet one of you guys.
Yeah, so that's where you can make an appointment with us. We do drop-ins. We do drop-ins over Zoom. We do full sit down appointments where you can plan out the rest of your time here at Sac State. So we have kind of 2 different options. You can do a quicker drop-in, or you can do a full 20-minute long-term appointment.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
No problem. Let's see. So yeah, we do lots of different things, but once again, it is a little bit different than the community college in that we don't do everything in-house, because we work in the College of Business. We are major advisors. That's what our specialty is. So like I said, we have 3 staff advisors, including myself. We also have faculty advisors. So our faculty advisors are the ones that can answer more specific questions. So what careers can I pursue with my concentration in accounting, or what is the job outlook like for, students who are pursuing management information systems, MIS, what electives should I take based on my career goals? Anything about professional licenses, like a CPA, CFP, real estate license, all of that kind of stuff, I have no idea. That is way above me. I don't have a background in business, at least career-wise. So that is something we would refer you out to faculty advisors. Each faculty advisor has a PhD in their respective area, and they're experts in their field. So they would be the ones to answer more kind of nuanced or specific questions like what you see on the screen in the bottom. So just one thing to keep in mind, you will have technically lots of different advisors that you can meet with. However, with us being your major advisors and your major courses being the bulk of what you have remaining, will be your primary advisors going forward, your primary class advisors. All right, so next screen is the outline of the business major. This is where you'll want to have that guidebook PDF open if possible. I would recommend keeping that guidebook just as a file on your computer, just so you can always have access to it. Literally everything I'm going over today, you can find in the guidebook. It has all the information you need for your business major questions. So the outline of the business major is split into 2 areas. You've got lower division courses and you've got upper division. Most of the students in the room will have most, if not all, of the lower division courses done. There are some students that are missing 1 or 2, and we'll go over that in just a second. And then the upper division is what you're mainly going to be focusing on over the next 2 years. So the upper division itself is split into 2 areas. You've got 24 units of major core, And then you've got 18 to 24 units in your concentration. And your concentration is basically going to be dependent on which one you have. Some of our concentrations are 18, some are 21, and a couple are 24. So that's why it says 18 to 24 units, because it depends on which concentration you have. If you're looking for just general idea of how many units you have left, I can give you a ballpark figure. Obviously, it's going to depend on your specific situation, but we can kind of do the math here. So everybody in the room is going to need 24 units of major core. I'm just going to pick 21 for concentration, just split the difference there. So that's 45 units. You'll learn a little bit later today that each student has to do at least 9 units of upper division GE here at Sac State. So that's 45 business class units plus 9 GE minimum. That's going to get us to 54. So if you're looking for a ballpark number of units that you'll need to graduate, this is assuming you're done with all your lower division GE and you're done with all your lower division business courses, you're looking at about 54 units, give or take a couple classes to graduate. So that's just a general kind of unit count of what you have left. Obviously, it's going to depend on your specific situation, but if you're just kind of looking for a ballpark figure, you're looking at about 54 to 57 units to graduate from Sac State from here on out. All right, so let's go on to the lower division classes. These are on page 8 of the guidebook. We kind of split it into 2 sections. We have the 5 classes in black text. Those classes should all be done. These are required both to get into the business major, and they're also required for an ADT, an associate degree for transfer, which we'll talk about in just a minute. So if anyone's missing Accounting 1, 2, Econ 1A, 1B, or Business Law, and you don't have those done as of right now, you'll have to talk to us at the end, because that will be a potential issue. Where it gets tricky is the 3 courses in red text. These are also required business lower division courses, but they're not necessarily required for an ADT degree. So if you got into the business major because you were earning an ADT, you might be missing up to all 3 of the courses in red text. So the first one is MIS 10. That is our business applications spreadsheets course. That's our basically Microsoft Excel course. Math 24 is modern business math, which is sometimes called business calculus. And then we have Stat 1, which is introduction to statistics. So if you got an ADT, you could be missing anywhere from 1 to 3 of these courses in red. That doesn't mean that you are exempt from taking them. They are absolutely still required to get your degree in business. And they're also required to advance on in the major. These courses in red are prerequisites to many of our upper division courses. So if you're missing any of the courses in red, you'll want to take them as soon as possible, meaning this upcoming spring semester. We'll talk a little bit about that, more about that in just a minute. So I had mentioned the ADT. This is a degree that probably most of the people in the room have. Frau, did you have another question?
Yes, it was about the prerequisites, but do you want me to wait or?
No, go ahead. Yeah, ask your question.
So on the page 8 of the guidebook that I've got yesterday, so it says, so on the right side, it's the courses that I was supposed to take or have taken already in community college. And on the right side, it's the prerequisites, and it says diagnostic exam for both math and stats, which I've already taken. So now I'm not sure why it's there. I don't know if it's just for me or for everyone, but I've already taken stats, business law, and MIS 10. MIS 10, I know I've taken it in fall semester, so I know the grades are not in for you guys yet, but I have my transcripts ready. So I don't know why it's there.
Are you looking at the guidebook, the big guidebook?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's not personalized to you. The OR form would be personalized to you. The guidebook is what we give out to all students, and it's just showing what all the prerequisites are. It's not personalized though, so it's going to be the same for every single student. It's just our general information kind of handle.
So I am like, I've already taken those classes and I should be good.
Yeah, yeah. You can, do you have your OR form that we emailed to you as well?
Yes, I do. It says that for lower division business courses in progress for a fall 2021, you guys don't have my grades for MIS 10 and
Okay.
Econ 1B.
Okay. Is there anything listed on the next section of the OR where it says business lower division still to complete?
No, those are the only two classes.
Okay. Yeah. So you're good. Then that means as long as you passed your fall classes, you are good to go.
Perfect. And do I need to submit my unofficial transcript for you guys to get my grade?
Yes.
Oh,
We'll hit that in just a couple more slides.
okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Sunita, is there a question?
Yes, there's a question in the chat. Do we have to pass the ALEC?
So that's a good question. If you are missing Math 24, then technically our math department requires you to take the ALEX placement exam before you can register for it. However, unofficially, they will accept like a equal level class. Like if you have Stat 1 done and you need to take Math 24 here at Sac State, you should be able to get into Math 24 without taking the ALEX. I'll get to that in just a sec. We have a slide for that. But unfortunately, registering for Math 24 is a difficult thing. You'll have to go through the math department and they will let you know whether or not you need to take the ALEX. So it's up to them. But usually most transfer students don't need the ALEX. Jessica, did you have a question?
Yes, so for the business application spreadsheet,
Mhm.
I was told that I could take tech computer literacy and that it would count towards that for my
Is
school.
that at Merced or Modesto?
Modesto.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that class, I don't think it's on assist.org. That's what we use. It's actually on the screen as well. Is that what's, I don't remember 100%, but is that what's on assist for Modesto?
I believe so, because I confirmed and they said that it would count towards when I would transfer.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I remember Modesto. My initial reaction is that class does not count, but I would have to check assist. If you want to, in the meantime, you can check assist and see if it's equivalent to MIS 10, but I don't think that it is. MIS 10 is it's only covering Microsoft Excel and it goes very in depth into Excel. So unless you've taken a course that is either titled Excel or only deals with Excel, it's probably not going to count for MIS 10. A lot of the courses out there like touch on Excel, but it's only a small portion of the class. That's not enough to count for MIS 10, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
But it's honestly not that big of a deal. You can just take it here at Sac State. It's only a 2-unit course. You can take it here in the spring if you'd like.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Let's see. Amarani, did you have a question?
Oh, hi. Yes. I didn't know I had to take Math 24 at ARC. So I enrolled this semester. Would it be fine or I had to take it at Sac State?
No, you can absolutely take it at the community college. If it's easier for you to do that, that's fine. If you're missing any of the courses in red, we just want you to get them done, whether here or at a community college by the end of spring 2022.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
No problem. All right. So back to this ADT slide. This is always the most confusing part of the presentation. So if you have questions, let me know. Lots of students in the room were earning an ADT. If you were earning an ADT for fall of 2021, we will need proof of that. The easiest way to tell if we need your ADT is if we go all the way back to the OR form. See where it says, please submit item that is checked. If this first box is checked or has a black square, that means that we need your ADT completion verification. So if you go back to your OR and this is not checked, then you can tune out this next slide. If it is checked, we will need proof of your ADT verification. So what you can see on the screen here, we have a example of what it would look like on your unofficial transcript. This one happens to be from Sierra College. And the problem is each community college, it looks a little different because each community college's unofficial transcript is done in a slightly different way, depending on the college. So If you have that checked on your OR, we will need your ADT conferral information. And the most important part is where the red arrow is. We need the degree date. So this one's 2 years old because it's an old example, but yours would say something like December 14th, 2021, if you were getting the ADT in the fall semester. So that's kind of what we'll need going forward. The issue is it's January 12th right now, and grades were just posted probably last week or the week before at your community college. So for a lot of students, the ADT conferral hasn't been posted yet. So that's basically, it could be like a waiting game because we don't know when your community college will post it. We just need this proof as soon as possible if it's checked on your OR. So the easiest way to check this is to go into your e-services, go into your community college equivalent of their like version of MySac State, go into your student center, go to your unofficial transcript and access your unofficial transcript and see if you see anything like this. And we do need the degree date filled in. A lot of times some colleges will have this preset, but the degree date will be blank. That's fine. It just means it's probably taking a little bit longer to get posted, but we do need the degree conferral if the ADT marker is checked on your OR form. Any questions? Olivia, did you have a question?
Yeah, at Folsom Lake, I finished and I'm getting 2 different degrees, but I don't have, like my ADT form isn't checked off. It's on the unofficial transcript with final grade spot.
Okay, if the ADT is not checked, it probably means, do you have anything in the OR that you had in progress for the fall that's a lower division business course? Or is it blank?
There's stuff in there, just nothing that I'm familiar with.
Okay. If the ADT indicator is not checked, then we don't need your ADT information at all. It's because it wasn't required for you to get into the business major. So there's no point, even if you did get one, we don't need proof of that, if that makes sense.
Okay, and then I just looked at the wrong spot. I looked at suggested schedule. There's
okay.
nothing for lower division.
It means, yeah. So the reason is you had all the business prereqs done prior to fall 2021, which means you didn't need the ADT to get into the business major. So we don't even need a copy of your unofficial transcripts. If that's checked, you can send it to us, but we don't need it. You will need to send your final official to the records office and admissions, but you know, us in the business major, we won't need anything.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Sunita, was there another question?
Yes. So when is the deadline for official transcripts for spring 2022? My college messed up with one of the grades. I contacted the professor, but the professor at FLC is closed until January 31st.
So orientation leaders maybe can help me out, but I think it's January 15th is the deadline to submit your officials to the main records office and admissions. But we don't have a deadline for our transcripts. We just require unofficial. If you're referring to the official deadline, I think it's January 15th, but that's not our office. That's a different office. So you may want to double check with admissions on the actual deadline for that. So Jessica and Amarani, are those old hands or do you still have questions?
Oh, those are old hands, sorry.
Okay. No, that's okay. Yeah, if you could just take down your hand once your question's answered, that it's easier to keep track. All right, so once again, check your ORs and check it to see if we require the ADT. And if we do, we'll just need a copy of it on your unofficial transcript. Like I said, don't feel like there's a super rush on this because we know certain community colleges are slower at awarding their degrees. That's okay. We'll work with you. Just keep in mind that we will, if we don't get the ADT in the next 2 weeks, we'll be emailing you, reminding you to send it to us. All right, so let's move on. Now we're going to talk about our upper division major core classes. This is going to be on page 9 of your guidebook. No one will have these classes done unless you happen to transfer in from another CSU and you took an upper division course there. These are all 100 and higher upper division business core classes. You cannot get these at the community college. Even if you took a principles of marketing, even if you took a business communications at Sierra College or at Folsom Lake or ARC, those are lower division by nature. We require upper division versions of all of these business core classes and your concentration courses. So these will all have to be done here at Sac State, and you'll be mainly, most of the people in the room will be focusing on these going forward. Another question, Sunita?
Yes, I received an email from Sac City that the CUC transcript office has verified my ADT submitted, but do I still need to verify again?
Yeah, so it's a kind of a semantics thing. Verification is what was done back in like October. We need the final degree conferral, which usually doesn't get posted until, you know, mid to late January. So verification, that's not what we need. We already have that. We need the actual conferral and proof that you've received the ADT degree. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, so these are our 8 upper division core classes. Just kind of going in order from top to bottom. DS 101 is our upper division business stats course. HRLB 101 is our intro to human resources. Management 102 is our business communications. This is written communications, not oral. It's not spoken. There's no speeches or anything like that. It's all about written communication. So it's kind of like an English course, but it's with a business slant to it. Finance 101 is your intro to finance. MIS 101 is computer information systems for management. This is different than MIS 10. It's a completely different course. You learn basically how to kind of integrate like information systems and database design, information technology into business. Marketing 101 is your intro to marketing. OPM 101 is operations management. And then the last one is GM 105, which is strategic management. A couple of notes on some of these classes. DS 101 does require both Math 24 and Stat 1 to be completed before you can enroll in it. And OPM 101 requires either DS 101 to be done beforehand, or if you want to take them concurrently, you would have to be co-enrolled in DS 101 and OPM 101. And then the last one, GM 105, is our capstone course. This has 6 prerequisites. Basically, all the classes above it have to be done before you can take GM 105. So GM 105 won't come until the very end. Most students, 95+%, take GM 105 their graduation semester. So that one is not going to be an option for anybody in the room for the spring, obviously. So you can kind of cheat and look ahead on your OR form. If you see the suggested courses at the bottom of your OR form, we'll have them listed in kind of order of importance, but you're going to see a lot of these 101 type courses on your suggested list of classes. So you can kind of look ahead and see what we've suggested to you based on your concentration and if you have any lower division classes still left to do. All right, so this kind of goes over our concentration choices. One thing to keep in mind, we are one college. So you have one major. It's in business administration. Your major is not in accounting. It's not in entrepreneurship. It's not in marketing or whatever concentration you've chosen. But it's a bachelor's of science in business administration. You can think of the concentrations as like specializations within your major. Each student to graduate with a degree in business has to select at least one concentration. You can do more than one if you'd like. We generally recommend, unless there's a really good reason, we recommend that you just stick with one concentration. But if you want to, you are more than welcome to declare a second concentration if you'd like. That is absolutely an option for you. We have 10 different concentrations to choose from. Since everyone in the room is at least conditionally admitted to the business major, you've already chosen your concentration. So you can see that on your OR form at the very top where it says concentration. You can see the concentration that you picked when you applied to the business major. Now, you're not stuck in that concentration. You can always switch. For example, if you picked accounting and you get into it and you're like, I hate this and this is not what I was expecting, you can always switch. You can switch to finance. You can switch to international business. You can switch to something completely different like marketing. You can absolutely do that. Just keep in mind that if you switch, in your last semester, you're going to postpone your graduation, obviously. Olivia, did you have a question?
Yeah, I'm just a little confused about the difference between the major and the concentration. Because when
Yeah.
I applied for marketing and got in, and then I got into the business program. But before I got in, it just said expressed interest marketing, and then I got in. And then on my form it says analytics, but then I see on the major it says business analytics. So am I still in marketing, or was there just like a little error and I have to like
What
apply
does it say
again?
on your OR form at the top?
It says hold on.
Does it say analytics?
Yeah.
Okay. That, unless we made a mistake, it means that you, when you applied to the business major, you chose business analytics as your concentration. If you want to do marketing, you would just have to fill out our add change concentration form, which we can get you at the end of the session if you'd like. But the main difference is your major is business and the concentration is kind of like an afterthought. That's kind of like a focus that you will be kind of specializing in, but your degree is in business. So I always try to tell students not to get too hung up on your concentration because it doesn't like dictate your career or anything like that. It's just, you can think of it as like a focus within your major, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But we can get you switched over to marketing if that's what you truly want. It could have been, it could be a mistake that we misread it on your OR, but usually on the ORs, we just pull what's in your student center, which is what you initially applied to. When you
Right. It might
initially
have been
applied to the
me,
business
but
major.
yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. And like I said, you can switch there, especially this early in the game. It doesn't really matter.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And then one thing, if you're a little confused about what concentration to pick, that's totally normal. You can always go on our career possibilities section of the guidebook, pages 24 to 25. You can kind of work backwards and look at job titles and see which concentration those job titles happen to fall under. So if you're unsure of your concentration, that's a good thing to look at. And then also I'll say, if you're unsure of your concentration, general management is the most broad and has a little bit of every kind of area of business within the concentration. So if you're not sure, or you just kind of want just a generalized business experience, general management would be the best concentration to choose. It's going to be the most broad and give you the most choice of classes to pick from. All right, so let's go over just a couple of our academic policies. The first one is minimum grade requirements. This applies to all lower division, upper division, and concentration courses within the business major. You do need a C- or better in all courses. We unfortunately do not accept anything that is a D+ or lower. Even if you get a D in a class, you technically get the credit in units for the class, but it won't satisfy the major requirement that you would need for the class. So you do need to get a C- or better in all business courses. The only exception is Math 24. You do need a C or better in Math 24. We do minuses and pluses here at Sac State. I know a lot of local community colleges don't, but you will see plus and minus grades on your transcripts here at Sac State. Repeating courses. This is a big one. You basically have 3 attempts per business course to pass. If you can't pass a required business course by your 3rd attempt, you will be removed from the business major. It's unfortunately a pretty strict policy. There's no appeal to it. So if you find yourself on a 3rd attempt of any business course, let us know, because we could, explain the drop policy to you, maybe help you drop the class, maybe help get you some tutoring so you can get a passing grade in your last attempt. It doesn't happen that often, but it's really rough when it does. We just had a student who could not pass DS 101 by their 3rd attempt, and their 3rd attempt was this past fall, and they got an F in their 3rd attempt. We had to remove them from the business major, and I think they were like 4 or 5 classes away from graduating. So there's no appeal to this policy, unfortunately. So, like I said, most students pass their classes on the 1st attempt, and usually by the 2nd attempt if they just need to repeat 1 class. But if you find yourself on a 3rd attempt, let us know. We can try as much as possible to help you avoid the 3 repeat policy. And then the last one is our 10-year currency of knowledge policy. This is basically, you have to graduate within 10 years of starting in the business major. Otherwise, you'll have to repeat courses that you started at the very beginning. So for example, everybody's going to be starting their business courses in spring of 2022. The clock starts ticking once you start your first upper division business course, and you have 10 years to graduate. So everybody in the room who's starting next semester will have to graduate by spring of 2032. It's a pretty graceful period. 10 years is a lot of time to finish. Most of you will be done in 2 years, or maybe 2.5. But sometimes you have to drop out, and just know that if you do, that clock is always going from that first initial semester that you attend here at Sac State. And these are all in page 29 of the guidebook. So that's something you can always refer back to if you forget or just want to remind yourself. All right. So this is a lot of text on the screen, but we kind of want to make sure you have all the information available. This is a good time to pull out your OR form and kind of reference back to it. So I'm going to kind of go in priority order for just general advice for each student. Remember, the OR is personalized to you. It will have individual course suggestions, and it will have like your GPA and any lower divisions that you're missing. But the current registration window ends on January 20th. So you'll be eligible to register later today, probably around 3 p.m. And you'll technically have until January 20th to finalize your schedule. I would recommend getting your schedule finalized by the end of the day today, because on Friday, the entire university, their registration access is being reopened, and they've been shut out from registration since mid-December. So any remaining seats may be taken on Friday. So it's a really good idea to try to get your schedule finalized by the end of the day today. So in terms of priority of what to register for, once again, refer to your OR form. You want to prioritize, first, you want to prioritize any missing lower division business courses. These are your MIS 10 classes, your Math 24s, and maybe Stat 1 if you're missing that. If you're missing any of those 3 courses, those need to be prioritized for spring of 2022. And once again, you can take them here, or you can take them at a local community college. Since they are lower division, they do not need to be done at Sac State. Those can be completed at a community college. So that's kind of something to think about when you're creating your schedule. One thing that is a little frustrating for us, if you're enrolling in Math 24 and you need to take it and you want to take it here at Sac State, you won't be able to register for the class on your own. You'll have to email the math department, and their email address is in the on there. I will put it into the chat. Oh, Sunita already did. Thank you. You'll have to email them math-01@csus.edu. You'll have to attach your unofficial transcripts, your student ID number, and maybe your first and second choice of the section of Math 24 that you'd like to enroll in. Unfortunately, the math department has their own enrollment requirements for their own classes. We have no control over that. And they are basically going to require any student to have the ALEX placement score in. But like I said before, you can probably get that waived if you have a passing grade in Stat 1 already. So that's why you would need to send them your transcripts. So if you have issues registering for Math 24, we can't help you. You would have to contact the math department through email, and they would be able to manually enroll you in the course. MIS 10 and Stat 1, as long as the class is open, you should be able to register yourself in the class. No issues there. The next order of priority for classes would then be the upper division business core. So let's say you're missing Math 24, you go ahead and enroll in that. Okay, now we can move to filling out your schedule with the rest of the business core classes. So these are classes like HROB 101, Management 102, Finance, Marketing, MIS 101. And you can find these on the bottom of your OR form as well. Just so you know, in terms of course availability, this is the last orientation session for business majors for the spring. So we still have plenty of sections that are open. We are kind of getting tight though on some of the classes. So HROB 101 has lots of seats left. Management 102 has lots of seats left. Finance 101 has a couple sections that have some seats left, but Finance 101 probably will fill today. So you might want to try to register for that one first. Marketing 101 has a decent amount of seats left. MIS 101, unfortunately, is completely full. So that one will probably have to wait until the fall semester. That's okay. It's not required that you take MIS 101 your first semester, so you could wait until fall for that. But HR, Management 102, Finance and Marketing all have seats in them. So everyone in the room should be able to get at least one seat in each of those sections without a problem. Finance 101 is a little iffy. That one will probably fill at some point today. There's also some business concentration courses that may be available. I'll go over that in one of the upcoming slides. And then kind of as not as a last resort, but as something to also think about, you will have upper division GE to take. You'll be learning more about that from your orientation leader today. Each student has specific GE areas that unfortunately we don't know about until you meet with your orientation leader. But each student has specific GE areas that they'll be responsible for. So you will be able to take upper division GE if you want to today. Starting on Friday, you won't really find it today, but starting on Friday, many courses go on what's called department or instructor consent. If that happens, you would either have to contact the department or the instructor directly. You can use the campus directory link, directory.csus.edu. That would give you access to the directory where you can type in anyone's name, and it'll give you their contact information, office location, and so on. If you find a course, whether it's business or not, on department or instructor consent, you would either have to contact the department or the instructor respectively, depending on the type of consent. And it does tell you in the class enrollment what type of consent it's asking for, either department or instructor. Okay. So once again, just to kind of summarize, you want to prioritize any missing lower division courses, then look to your core classes. Then you can even look for concentration courses. And then kind of as a last choice, you can look for upper division GE for the spring. And you should be able to get a schedule kind of together with those options. All right. Let's move on. So I had kind of alluded to this earlier with Math 24 and Stat 1. Remember, those are direct prerequisites for DS 101. DS 101 is a prereq / co-req for OPM 101. And then OPM 101 is itself a prerequisite for GM 105 and some other concentration level courses that you may be needing to take depending on your concentration. So you can see if you avoid taking Math 24 and Stat 1, but it's usually Math 24, that's going to delay you getting into DS 101, which is going to delay you getting into OPM, which is going to delay you getting into GM 105. So, once again, if you're missing Math 24 or Stat 1, we really recommend that you take it in the spring so you don't find yourself in a situation where you will have to stay an extra semester just to get your degree. It doesn't happen that often, but I did have a couple of students in the past who delayed taking Math 24, said, oh, I'll take it later, and then found themselves in a situation where they had to stay a full extra semester here at Sac State just to take GM 105 by itself. Because of the sequencing, they didn't set it up right and they waited too long on their math class. So obviously we don't want that to happen to anyone in here. All right. This is just some general concentration specific registration advice. You'll most likely find these on your OR forms as well. So the most important one is if you're an accounting concentration student, we really strongly recommend you enroll in Accounting 111. It's kind of the stepping stone initial accounting class. It's a prereq to most of the other accounting classes that you'll need to take. So bare minimum, if you're accounting, try to enroll in Accounting 111. You can also look at 121, which is cost accounting, or 171, which is federal tax procedures as well. These are all three of the classes listed there are required. 111 is a little bit more important to take earlier, and 121 and 171 are open. I think 121 still has space. 171 might be full. You'd have to check the schedule though. MIS, if you're an MIS concentration student, consider taking MIS 15, 140, or 150. Once again, these are all required, but these classes are kind of good to try to get out of the way in your first 1 to 2 semesters here at Sac State. because they are prerequisites to a future MIS course. If you're an entrepreneurship student, consider taking Entrepreneurship 187 or 189. Once again, both are required, but you don't have to take them your first semester, but it would be nice maybe if you could get one of them just to kind of dip your toes into an actual entrepreneurship class to see if it's something that you enjoy. If you're an international business student, you can consider IBIS 180. It's not a required class for IBIS, but it is one of the elective options. So it's something that you can put towards your graduation, and it would fulfill an elective area within international business. IBIS 180 also works if you're a general management student, and it also works if you are an entrepreneurship student. So IBIS 180 is a great class if you're either IBIS, entrepreneurship, or general management. Finance 138 is similar. That's a great option if you're doing finance, entrepreneurship, or general management. That Finance 138 class will count for all three of those areas. So that's a great class to take. And then kind of the main thing to keep in mind is you want to take your respective 101 course at minimum. So if you're a finance concentration student, definitely take Finance 101 this upcoming spring. If you're marketing, definitely take Marketing 101. If you're human resources, definitely take HROB 101, and so on. And the reason for that is if you look in the guidebook, you'll notice that your concentration courses, if you're finance, marketing, or HR, all require you to have the 101 course done beforehand. So it's a great idea to knock that out early, so it opens up your options going forward for your other classes starting in the fall. And then the last one is to pay attention to prerequisite sequencing in your guidebook. That's pages 11 to 23. And the guidebook goes into much more detail about the concentrations. It goes into much more detail about the order and kind of like the class titles and all the elective options. And that's all in your guidebook 11 to 23, pages 11 to 23. Okay, registration tips and tricks. So pay attention to your priority registration appointment. It is important for you to pay attention to this. You won't see it this semester because you're all registering today. But going forward, when you're a continuing student, you'll actually be in a situation where you will get a registration appointment issued to you with a date and a time from the records office. And that's going to be your time to register. You don't want to delay past that because classes do fill up. You also want to watch out for registration holds and prereqs. You can always find your registration holds, if there are any, in your student center in the upper right-hand corner. Pay your fees on time. Be flexible. I can't emphasize that enough. Unfortunately, like I had mentioned before, this is the last orientation session. Everyone else has registered for spring except you. That's all of our continuing students and all of our previous orientation students who attended earlier sessions. So there are classes out there. There are plenty of classes out there. They may be at strange times, but you have to be flexible to get a full schedule for this upcoming semester. It does get a lot easier when you start registering for fall and on, because you'll be a continuing student registering much earlier. And then the new students who are coming for the fall will be in this situation where they're kind of having to pick from what's left for the classes. You can always crash a class. It's not guaranteed that you'd get in, but it is an option. If you're not familiar with crashing, it's basically once the semester starts, if a class is full, you can always go to the professor or email the professor or stop by their office hours or even go to the class and see if they'd be willing to over-enroll the class to accommodate you. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It really depends, but it is an option. It's kind of a last resort option, but it is a potential option to get you into the class. Meet with your advisor before the rush, ask questions. Definitely better to be safe than sorry. So just kind of general registration tips and tricks. Most of these won't apply to this upcoming semester, but going forward, really pay attention to your priority registration appointment. That's really important to register as soon as possible. All right, so I did want to talk a little bit about our spring 2022 course modalities. Sunita, is there a question?
Yeah, it's about our lower division courses. So
Yeah, sure.
Taking Microsoft Word and Excel at JC in their 1-unit classes, and he's wondering if we still need to take MIS 10.
Yes. So MIS 10 is our computer literacy class that is required now. So you do have to take either have taken an equivalent MIS 10 course at your community college, or you'll have to take it here at Sac State. If you're currently taking Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, those are our old requirements that are no longer accepted. So if you're currently taking those, or you took those in the fall, we won't be able to accept those. It has to be MIS 10 going forward.
One more question, Brandon.
Sure.
Should I contact the college or the counselor for the ADT verification?
If I'm understanding this correctly, if you're trying to get your ADT conferral date, you would have to contact your community college to see when they're going to post it. Sometimes if you contact them, it kind of jumpstarts it and they post it a little bit earlier than they normally would have. But if you're looking for the conferral date, you'd have to contact your community college. You can start with your counselor there if you want, though. Nick, did you have a question?
Yeah, she asked my question for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I need to take MIS 10.
Okay.
I don't know, this semester, I kind of wanted it, like, I don't want to take a lot of classes. I wanted it to be kind of an easy semester, but I know I need MIS 10. So Sacramento State won't get mad at me that I take it at a community college?
Not at all. Nope.
Yeah,
that's totally fine. You just need to enroll in at least 1 unit here at Sac State for the spring. Otherwise, you lose your enrollment status.
Oh, okay. Sure about that.
Yeah, you can absolutely take it at the community college. All right. So let's go over our course modalities. I always want to say this at the beginning, just because I think just to clear up any confusion about the typical way that classes are taught here at Sac State, and specifically within the business major. We are a traditional program. We're a traditional university. Most of our classes are going to be taught in person, Monday through Friday, between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. If you are a student who is looking to complete your classes online, that's unfortunately not going to be possible here at Sac State, especially within the business major. You might be able to get 1 online class per semester, but that's probably going to be it. So I just want to kind of throw this out there because I think a lot of students think that they can finish their classes online here at Sac State. Due to the pandemic, most of our classes have been online since spring of 2020, but that's changing this upcoming spring. I'm sure everyone saw the email from the president of Sac State saying that the first 2 weeks will be virtual, regardless of your modality. That's the plan as of now, but we are expected to go back to in person if that's your modality, starting on February 7th. Once again, things can change. I don't know. Those decisions are way above my pay grade. So we get the information when the students do. We get the same emails that you get from the president. So as of now, everything will be virtual through February 7th. And then depending on your modality, if it's a in-person or hybrid class, you'll return to in-person. If it was originally supposed to be online, it will obviously stay online. So if you can't commit to being on campus from here on out, so spring 2022 in the next 2 years, if you can't commit to being on campus at least 2 to 3 days a week during the day, this may not be the right fit for you because you definitely will not be able to get all of your classes online. You also won't be able to get all of your classes in the evening. We're once again a traditional program within a traditional university. So it's going to be, during the day, Monday through Friday, 9 to 4, 9 to 3, or when the bulk of our classes are taught. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. But we just want to get that out there so before you get too far in that you're going to have to show up on campus multiple days per week for the next 2 years just to be able to attend your classes and definitely to be a full-time student. All right, so let's talk about the modalities a little bit. These are the 4 modalities that you'll see, and they're all listed under each class. So when you go to register for classes, if you look at the bottom, it will say If it's in person, it'll say HY for hybrid, online synchronous, and online asynchronous. And what's the difference between those? So at the top, you've got fully in person. It's just like it sounds. It's a fully in person class. Hybrid's a tough one. Hybrid means it's partially in person, partially online. But the percentage and how that works is a little iffy because it depends on the professor and how they would like to teach the class. So if you enroll in a hybrid class, you probably won't know how it's going to be taught until you actually get into the class and meet with the professor. If you have questions about the hybrid class that you are looking at registering for, you might want to email the professor to see how they plan on doing it. Honestly, usually hybrid means you show up one day a week and then the other day is spent asynchronously online in the classroom doing work or whatever's assigned from the professor. But some hybrid classes, it could be you show up once every 2 weeks. Some hybrid classes are basically where you do all the work online in class, but you have to show up for the tests in person. So, you may have to show up 4 times throughout the semester for a hybrid class. Just realize if you register for a hybrid class, you will have to show up on campus. It's just a question of the frequency. If you live outside of Sacramento and you register for a hybrid class, you will have to make accommodations to come to campus at some point during the semester. It could be once a week. It could be once a month. It just really depends on the setup of the class and how the professor chooses to kind of run the class. So those are the 2 in-person modalities, fully in-person and hybrid. Then you've got online synchronous and asynchronous. Online synchronous is basically the exact same as a fully in-person class, except the class meets over Zoom. So it will have a specific time, it will have a specific day, and it looks just like a fully in-person class, except that it says online synchronous. So you still have to be available and ready at a computer during those times, but it's taught over Zoom. So obviously you can do it from wherever you have an internet connection. Online asynchronous is completely online. There's no meeting times for the class. It will say web online TBA in the day and time section of the class. So if you find an online asynchronous class, you're working basically at your own pace. You may never see the professor face to face. You may never even see the professor online. There's generally no Zoom associated with online asynchronous. The class is taught in a kind of you basically will be checking like your Canvas account, and the professor will have due dates for certain things and like a general guideline of what you should be doing. You'll probably be not teaching yourself, but you'll be learning from a book or something like that. So before you enroll in a class like that, just be sure that that's kind of what you want. Most of our classes in business are going to be, if it is online, it's going to be online synchronous, not asynchronous. But there are quite a few GE courses out there that will be online asynchronous. But once again, most of our classes for spring and going forward will be either fully in person or hybrid, which means you'll have to come to campus to attend the class. All right, any questions about the modalities? Online versus in person? Okay. All right, we're almost there. Just a couple more slides. Staying connected with us. So we have BizList. That is our email listserv. It's on page 32 of your new student guidebook. This is honestly the best way to stay in touch with us. It's basically an old school email listserv. We send out all of our announcements, any job opportunities, internship opportunities, scholarship info, anything about events, food giveaways, all that goes through BizList. So you can sign up. It's real easy. You just type in your email address. Instructions are on page 32 on how to sign up for that. You can also follow us on Instagram. There's a QR code on the screen that will take you to our Instagram page where you can follow us. And we're also on YouTube as CBA-OSE. The link is like super long, and I didn't want to put a shortened link because it's kind of hard to do in a PowerPoint presentation, but Sunita can drop the link to our YouTube channel in the chat. I am recording this particular session, so I'll get it uploaded hopefully by the end of the day. And we have a lot of different things on our YouTube channel. We have past orientations, we have workshops that we've done in the past, concentration mixers, meeting faculty, stuff like that. So all of that is on our YouTube channel. You can kind of poke around and see if there's anything interesting in there. And you can also rewatch this presentation. I'll try to get the video up at the end of the day. You can also look in an older orientation, like we have ones from last summer. Basically the same information, not much has changed. All right. And I did want to talk a little bit about our scholarships. So there's 2 QR code links here. The one on the left is to our scholarship video. It just kind of goes over what type of scholarships we have and the general purpose behind them. And then the QR code on the right is the application link to our scholarships. Our application period is open and it goes all the way until February 27th. So you have about a month and a half of time left still to apply for any business scholarships. The thing to keep in mind about the scholarship application that's happening right now is it is for the academic year of fall 2022 and spring 2023. So you will be applying for scholarships that are of the next academic year. So just keep that in mind. It wouldn't be for this semester, it would be starting next semester for the disbursement of the scholarship money. All right, so almost there. Staying connected with us, the easiest way to contact us is email us at cba-ugrad@csus.edu. That's our general email address. It actually goes straight to me. We're also online on our website. You can find our Zoom office hours there. We probably will be still working virtually through February 7th as well. So if you want to contact us, we have Zoom office hours. Even when we return back to campus, we will still have online Zoom hours as well. So you don't technically have to come in person to meet with us. You'll be able to meet with us over Zoom. Sunita, is there a question?
Yes. Can we talk about the WPJ and how many pages the essay should be?
So WPJ is not a business major thing. That's probably something that you can ask your orientation leader when you meet with them one-on-one later today. If you have specific questions about the WPJ, my suggestion would just be to Google Sac State WPJ, and it will take you to their website where they have contact information, an FAQ section. They would be able to answer your questions about that, but you can check it with your orientation leader because they should be able to give you some basic information about the WPJ. All right, so we do have an on-campus office. It's currently closed. It's at Tahoe Hall 1030. We expect to reopen on February 7th, along with the return to in-person learning for those modalities. And we do have a telephone number as well, but that is not being monitored because we're working virtually. So in the next couple of weeks, you definitely want to email us or go on our website to do our Zoom drop-in hours. Our Zoom is really helpful. We're one of the few, I think, departments on campus that we have Zoom hours basically every day from 9 to 12 and 1 to 4. You can think of it as a virtual front desk. Anytime you have questions, just pop in. Usually the wait's not too long. You might have to wait up to 5 minutes, but usually it's not longer than that. And you would be able to get any questions answered that you have about the business major. All right, we are almost done here, and then I'll open it up for questions. We will be available today in our main front desk Zoom. So the code is OSE front desk. We will be available today from 4 to 4:30 to answer any major questions that you might have. Unfortunately, we will not be able to help you out with any GE questions. We won't be able to help you out with any financial aid or payment questions. But if you have questions about registration for business classes or just general questions about the business major, we will be available at our OSE front desk Zoom from 4 to 4:30 today. But make sure and stay in your orientation GE sessions. They're going to be throughout the afternoon. And then I believe your orientation leaders will be available to help you with registration as well. But we will be there for business questions from 4 to 4:30 today if you have any follow-up questions for us. So that's the end of the presentation. I'll go ahead and open it up for questions right now. I'll go ahead and open the chat as well. So if you want to ask any questions, go ahead and do it in the chat or raise your hand and I'll kind of call on you verbally to ask your question. So If you do have any questions, let us know, and I can definitely help you. Sunita, was there another one?
No, not on my
No.
end.
Okay. Olivia, did you have a question?
Yeah, so I got the link that they sent in the chat for changing the concentration.
Okay.
So do I just fill it out and then do I send it like in an email, or do I print it?
Yeah, the easiest way is to just fill it out. It's a fillable PDF, save it to your desktop, and then email it to us at CBA-UGrad. It's on the form. And then if you email it to us filled out, we'll take care of the rest for you.
Okay, so then is that going to affect the GE ones that they're about to start having us fill in?
No. Has nothing to do with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
No problem. All right, Joseph, yes, I can send you the OR form. I will make sure to do it after the presentation is over. I will send it to you. Let me just make a note to do that. All right, any other questions? Ravneet, you can't hear me? Can everybody else hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Not sure, Ravneet. I think it's on your end. Manmeet, did you have a question?
Yes, I had a quick question. Once we get into the business program, do we have to apply like every semester, or is it just once we're in?
No. Once you're in, you're good. Yeah, that's a good question. Once you're in the business major, you do not have to reapply. The only time where you would have to reapply is if you leave Sac State for like a year and then come back. But
So
if you're continuously enrolled, you're good.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Sean says, I took Math 24 during fall, but it shows that I have not on the OR form. Yes, Sean. So we created the OR forms back in December, and we only had access to transcripts that were probably updated as of summer of 2021. So if you took Math 24 in the fall, maybe you added it late or something like that. That's fine. As long as you know that you're enrolled in Math 24, you can send us your transcript and we'll make sure to make a note of that. Don't forget to send the official transcript to the admissions office as well. Any other questions before we finish up?
So I know that we're gonna be doing GE requirements in our other meeting. So
Correct.
Does that mean it's up to us? I might have just missed when you were explaining it. Is it up to us to pick our own upper divisions and get them?
Are you talking about GE or for business?
For business.
Yeah, well, it's up to you because we don't know like what times you're available for classes. That's why we gave you the OR form with the suggested courses at the bottom. So it's up to you to create your schedule. We just wanted to give you suggestions of what we recommend that you take.
Okay, and then last question is the handbook that you guys sent out, does it have like if I look up what a certain class is it going to tell me?
So the handbook wouldn't have that because it would be a lot bigger if it did. But if you just go to the catalog, I'll type it in the chat. If you go to the Sac State catalog, that's where you can see the details of each class that's taught at Sac State. It's going to give you like a 3 or 4 sentence blurb about the class and just kind of a general overview. But unfortunately, we don't have enough room in the guidebook to put that in, but it's in the catalog online.
Okay, thank you.
And then Jeremy, yes, yeah, everything in the guidebook is updated. We redo the guidebook every 2 years. So this is technically the last semester, spring 2022 of this current guidebook. We will have a new one up in the fall for the next 2-year period. Not much is going to change. So what you have in your guidebook is accurate right now. You also have catalog rights. So if something is changed in your class requirements, you are not held to that because you came in during the catalog rights of this specific catalog. Hopefully that makes sense. Michael, yeah, you can, if you can't talk, you can type your question or you can just unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, so I have a question about the unofficial transcript. So I have like the page pulled up of like I can see it like on my like Sierra because that's the community college I went to,
Mhm.
but they don't have like a place to like download the PDF.
Yeah, so the easiest way to do it is if you're on a computer, just hit Command P or Control P to print the browser window, and then save as PDF or print to PDF. Each browser has that capability. And then you can just automatically basically make a PDF out of the transcript that you're seeing in your browser window, if that makes sense.
Okay, I got you.
And then you just send that to us at CBA UGrad.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
No problem. All right. I don't know, Sunita and Olivia, if there's still other questions, you can unmute if you need to.
There's a question. Where can I see the concentration I picked? On my OR form, it just says BA.
Oh, sorry. That might have been me. BA is business analytics. Sorry, I just shortened that. So that means that you're under the business analytics concentration. So you can keep it or you can switch if you want to. It's up to you. All right. Any other questions, Manmeet?
I had another question. So I need to take Math 24. So if I take it at a community college, how does that work?
So you'd want to make sure that it's on assist.org, first of all, so you know that you're taking the correct course. Once you've done that, then you would need to, once it's finished, you would need to send us an unofficial screenshot of your grade. And then you would need to send the official transcript to the main records office so that you get actual credit for the course at Sac State.
But does that affect my registration for registering for this month, like spring 2022?
No. The only way it would affect it is you are not eligible for DS 101 or OPM 101, but you'd be eligible for anything else.
So this semester I wouldn't be able to take those classes, but I'll be able to take every other class, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
No problem. All right, Sean, that's a great question. CSCI 10, Intro to Computer Science. It doesn't cover MIS 10 as long as you took it before fall 2021. It does cover our old MIS requirements, so we will accept it in place of MIS 10, but you would have had to have taken it before fall of 2021. Okay, so then you're good. You don't need to take MIS 10. I will warn you, I don't know how CSCI 10 ever got approved because it's an Intro to Computer Science course. You probably know this as well. It doesn't cover Microsoft Office at all, let alone Excel. So most of our business courses, especially like DS 101 and Finance 101, the professors are going to expect you to have a decent working knowledge of Excel. So even though you're not required to take MIS 10, I would recommend taking it because unless you feel confident in your Excel skills, pivot tables, stuff like that, like advanced Excel techniques, they're going to expect you to have that, especially in finance and DS. So it's up to you, but I would recommend either taking MIS 10 or maybe doing like a YouTube crash course on Excel. Is it going to be more work to have two concentrations? What is the difference between a concentration and minor? Yeah, it's definitely more class to do two concentrations. A concentration is more than a minor. It's a second concentration. So you're looking at usually at least anywhere from 5 to 8 additional classes. A minor is like a concentration, but it's usually less class. So hopefully that makes sense, Olivia. But sorry, Sean, back to your question. So it's up to you. You don't have to take MIS 10, but you might want to consider it, or at least look for some YouTube videos on like kind of crash course in Excel or something like that. All right, so let's see. Martin question says, if I finished in the summer, do I have an ADT to verify? If you finish your ADT in the summer, we probably have that already. Martin, I would refer you back to your OR form to see if the ADT verification box is checked. If it's not, then we won't need that. If it does have the black box in it, though, we will need your ADT proof. Ravni, yeah, I'm going to upload this to our YouTube channel. So that link is up in the chat a little bit more. And I'll try to get that uploaded in the next couple of hours so you can rewatch it on YouTube. So Amarani, which two computer classes did you take at ARC?
Oh, hi. Yeah, I took Introduction to the Internet 305, and then I took SISA, word processing and software development, I think it's called.
Okay, yeah, so those two computer classes don't translate over to anything here in terms of MIS 10. Remember, MIS 10 is a 2-unit course only in Microsoft Excel. It goes pretty in depth. So even though you've got those two other computer classes, they don't satisfy our MIS 10 requirement.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Yes. Can I send unofficial transcripts along with the ADT verification? Yeah, usually you just send them both at the same time because the ADT verification or conferral date is on your unofficial transcripts. Olivia, we don't have business analytics as a minor, unfortunately. So the option, if you want to do analytics, you'd have to do it as a second concentration or as a first, but we don't have a minor for that. All right, so we've reposted the YouTube link a couple times, so you should be able to access that. I'll try to get the video uploaded in the next couple of hours. All right. Any other questions before we finish up? Now's your last chance.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm. So basically, yeah, so it would be wise to take a class at Sac State, or I would lose, I'd lose out. I would have to reapply.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do need to take at least one unit or basically one class in the spring.
Yeah.
And just so you're familiar, you may not be familiar with this, but the way the fees work at Sac State, it's not like the community college. You don't get charged per unit. You get a flat fee from anywhere from 1 to 6 units, and then a higher flat fee once you go above 7 units, or once you go above 6 units to 7. So if you're not keen to be, a full-time student, I would recommend staying at 6 units or less. That way you pay less in tuition for Sac State.
Okay.
Hey, Brandon, how long it will take if I switch the concentration?
It usually takes about a week. Once we get the form, we approve it, and then we send it over to our records office, and they usually take about a week for it to get processed fully. But it doesn't affect your registration, so don't worry about that. It would just affect what you see in your student center.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I missed a question in the chat about Math 24. Jeremy, this is up to the math department, so you'd have to contact them through email. If you have Stat 1 already, you should not have to take the ALEX diagnostic exam, but you will need to email the math department to be manually enrolled in the class. But in our experience and what they've told us kind of unofficially, if you have Stat, you should be good. They can just put you right into Math 24. Yeah, the only way that someone would need to take the ALEX probably is if you don't have math or stats and you're needing to take Math 24. Then there's a good chance you would have to take the ALEX. But as long as you have stats already done, you shouldn't have to take the ALEX exam.
Sorry, real quick. So would we 100% have to contact the math department to enroll?
Yes.
In Math 24?
Okay. Yeah, I apologize. It's completely out of our control because it's their class. They literally the system looks for an ALEX score. If you don't have it, it won't let you register for the class. They said that they're trying to fix it. So hopefully this will be fixed in the future. But you can test it yourself. If you try to register yourself in Math 24, it's going to say you don't have the prerequisite of the ALEX or whatever. But in our experience, they're pretty good about monitoring their email. And if you give them the section number that you want to enroll in, they'll usually do it pretty fast.
Okay.
Frau or Manmead, I don't know if those are old hands. If you still have a question.
So I think I remember you said that there is no date or like a deadline for the unofficial transcripts and the ADT completion verification, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure because I'm emailing them right now.
Yeah, you're good. I mean, we'll need it in like the next month, but there's no.
Yeah, absolutely. I will mention that in the email. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. And then Venus, do I need to wait until the end? I believe you do. I think that they take some sort of role, the orientation leaders do. So I think you have to at least meet with them for the afternoon appointment before they'll remove your registration hold. I don't know. Maybe the orientation leaders can chime in. I'm not sure exactly how that works.
Yeah, so pretty much like your hold will come off at 3 o'clock today. After today at 11:45, whenever the business advising is done, we will have we'll get together, just like answer any other questions, and then just go back to your regular orientation meeting Zoom once the business advisors are done, and we'll tell you the further steps after that.
Cool, thank you. All right, so I think I'm going to wrap it up. We're supposed to be done by 11:45, so I will go ahead and start to wrap up. Any last call for questions? Otherwise, thank you all for coming. Welcome to the College of Business, and good luck with registration today. Remember, we will be available for major questions only between 4 and 4:30 p.m. Later today. So if you have questions about business, come on in. It can get a little busy, so there might be 5 to 10 minute wait, but just bear with us. There's only three advisors for a lot of students. So welcome to Sac State, and good luck. And we will hopefully see you at some point in the spring semester, and good luck with orientation. Thank you. Bye, everybody.